A country in Europe where families lock themselves inside their homes for years because a centuries-old code says they must be killed. A country where 1 in 3 women has experienced physical violence from a partner, and the police do nothing. A country that wants to join the European Union, but where blood feuds and domestic abuse are still a daily reality. This is Albania today. We base these videos on the analysis of real cases of people facing persecution in their home countries. We are country expert witnesses from London, focusing on human rights violations. We receive cases from major law firms who represent asylum seekers in the United Kingdom, United States, Canada, and the European Union. Our goal is to prepare evidence-based assessments and expert witness reports for asylum tribunals. Today, Albania. To understand why people flee Albania, you need to understand 3 things. The kanun, the collapse of the state, and what happened after. The kanun of Leki Dukakgjini is a set of customary laws that governed Albanian life for centuries, especially in the northern mountains. It is not a religious text. It is a code of honor. 12 books, over 1,200 articles. It covers everything: marriage, property, hospitality, and it covers blood revenge. Under the kanun, if a man from your family kills someone, the other family has the right to kill a male member of your family in return. This is called jakmarja, blood revenge. It does not end until the debt is paid. It can last for generations. For 40 years, from 1944 to 1991, Albania was under communist rule. Enver Hoxha, one of the most brutal dictators in European history. The communists banned religion, banned private property, and tried to destroy the kanun, but they could not. When communism collapsed in 1991, Albania fell into chaos. The state institutions were weak, the police were corrupt, the courts barely functioned. And the kanun came back, stronger than before, because when the state cannot protect you, people return to the old rules. In 1997, Albania collapsed again. The pyramid scheme crisis destroyed the savings of half the population. People lost everything. Armed groups looted military depots. Over 1 million weapons entered civilian hands. The country had no functioning government for months. This is when organized crime took root. Albanian criminal networks became some of the most powerful in Europe. And the blood feuds, they did not stop. Between 1991 and 2008, at least 9,500 people were killed in blood feuds. Today, Albania is an EU candidate country. Accession negotiations started in 2022. All negotiation clusters were opened by November 2025. But being an EU candidate does not mean the country is safe. Freedom House rates Albania as partly free, 69 out of 100. And this is where we are today, a European country, an EU candidate, but with blood feuds, domestic violence, and organized crime that the state cannot control. Let me show you who is in danger. If you are in Albania and you belong to any of these groups, you may be at risk. 1. Families involved in blood feuds, where the kanun code says a male member of your family must be killed. 2. Women and girls facing domestic violence, where the police refuse to act or cannot protect you. 3. Victims of trafficking, forced into prostitution or labor and unable to escape. 4. People threatened by organized crime groups, loan sharks, drug networks, extortion. 5. Children, including unaccompanied minors who face exploitation or are trapped in blood feuds. 6. People who refuse to participate in criminal activity and are threatened for saying no. 7. Former members of the military or police who have made enemies. If you recognize yourself in this list, keep watching. Blood feuds in Albania are not history. They are happening right now. According to the Albanian State Police, in 2021, 75 families with 159 people, including 25 children, were living in self-isolation because of blood feuds. That means locked inside their homes, children who cannot go to school, men who cannot go to work, because if they step outside, they may be killed. But many experts say the real number is much higher. A 2018 study found 704 families affected. Around 80% of them were self-isolating. The blood feuds are most common in the north, Shkodra, Leja, Kukes and Dibër, but they also happen in Tirana and other cities. Criminal groups have also started using blood feuds for their own purposes. They threaten people with fake blood feud claims to extort money or force cooperation. The line between a real blood feud and organized crime has become blurred. Albania has laws against blood feuds. In 2013, the criminal code was amended with 3 new articles. Article 78A, murder committed because of a blood feud. The penalty is not less than 30 years in prison or life imprisonment. Article 83A, serious threats related to blood revenge that cause a person to self-isolate, up to 3 years in prison. Article 83B, inciting or encouraging blood feuds, up to 3 years in prison. The problem is enforcement. These laws look good on paper, but in practice, blood feud killings are rarely investigated properly. The UK Home Office fact-finding mission in 2023 found that police capacity outside major cities is extremely limited. Witnesses refuse to testify. Families resolve disputes through the kanun, not through courts. Let me tell you about one case. The details have been anonymized, but the facts are drawn from real asylum claims referred to our team by law firms in London. A man from northern Albania, I will call him Arben. His family was involved in a blood feud that started in the 1990s after the fall of communism. A dispute over land between 2 families turned violent. A member of the opposing family was killed. Under the kanun, Arben's family became the target. For years, the man and his family could not leave the house. His uncle was shot and wounded. His cousin was threatened at school. The family went to the police. The police said they could not provide protection. It was a private dispute. Arben left Albania. He came to the United Kingdom and claimed asylum. He provided evidence of the blood feud, statements from the family, medical records from the shooting, and a report from a local organization. When our expert assessed this case, the finding was clear. Return to Albania would place this person at serious risk of being killed or seriously harmed. The state is unable to provide adequate protection against blood feud violence, especially outside Tirana. Domestic violence in Albania is widespread, and for many women, there is no escape. Between 2021 and 2024, 37 women and girls were killed in Albania. 27 of these were classified as femicide. That means they were killed because they were women, usually by a husband, partner, or family member. 90% of the femicide victims had experienced violence before they were killed. 60% were killed in their own homes. Many of them had asked for help. Many had protection orders. The system failed them. The Council of Europe, through Grevio, the expert group that monitors violence against women, published a report on Albania in 2024. They found significant gaps between the laws and reality. Traditional beliefs and strict gender roles remain a serious challenge. Only one rape crisis center exists for the entire country. Albania has a law on domestic violence. Law number 9669 on measures against violence in family relations was passed in 2006. It was amended in 2018 and again in 2020 to strengthen protections. The law allows courts to issue protection orders. Since the law was introduced, more than 33,000 protection orders have been granted. That sounds positive, but here is the problem. In Tirana, the capital, more than two-thirds of protection order applications were withdrawn or discontinued. Women dropped the cases. Why? Because they face pressure from their families. Because the police do not enforce the orders. Because there is nowhere safe to go. Albania is one of the main source countries for human trafficking into Western Europe, and Albanian organized crime networks are now among the most powerful in Europe. Albanian criminal groups control a large share of the cocaine market in Europe. The port of Antwerp alone seized over 100 tons of cocaine in both 2023 and 2024. Albanian networks work with the Italian 'Ndrangheta, not as small players, but as equal partners. But this is not just about drugs. People who refuse to participate in criminal activity or who owe money to criminal groups face real danger. Loan sharks connected to organized crime threaten families. That can turn into a death sentence. Victims of trafficking who escape face the risk of being re-trafficked if they return to Albania. The state cannot guarantee their safety. Albania has anti-trafficking laws. The criminal code criminalizes trafficking in persons. And SPAC, the Special Anti-Corruption and Organized Crime Structure, was created in 2019 to fight organized crime. But SPAC is still developing. Corruption within the police force remains a documented concern. The US Trafficking in Persons report notes that Albanian authorities do not fully meet the minimum standards for eliminating trafficking. Some of the most vulnerable asylum seekers from Albania are children. In blood feud cases, children are often confined to their homes for years. They cannot attend school. Their development is stunted. Under the kanun, boys become targets as soon as they reach a certain age. Unaccompanied Albanian minors arriving in the UK face age disputes. The Home Office frequently challenges the claimed age of Albanian young people, arguing they are adults. This creates additional barriers to protection. From our cases, a young person arrived in the UK claiming to be a child. His age was disputed. The legal team had to fight to establish his correct age before the asylum claim could even be properly heard. Now, the numbers. How many Albanians are seeking asylum? And how often do they succeed? In the United Kingdom, Albanians were 17% of all asylum applicants in 2022. That was the peak, driven by small boat crossings. By 2024, that number dropped to around 3%, approximately 2,600 applications. The grant rate in the UK for Albanian claims is very low, around 3 to 4% at first instance. That is one of the lowest rates. The UK Home Office treats Albania as a generally safe country. But here is what that number does not tell you. Many Albanian cases are refused not because they are not genuine, but because the Home Office argues that Albania can protect its citizens. The courts do not always agree. Blood feud cases and domestic violence cases are regularly overturned on appeal. Across the European Union, Albanians are consistently among the top nationalities applying for asylum. But EU recognition rates are also very low. Most EU countries treat Albania as a safe country of origin. What these numbers mean is this: Albanian asylum claims are treated with skepticism. But for the people who face genuine blood feuds, domestic violence, or organized crime threats, the danger is real, and the state cannot always protect them. Courts sometimes ask, can you just move to another part of Albania? This is called internal relocation. Let me explain why, for most people at risk in Albania, this does not work. First, Albania is a small country, about 28,000 square kilometers, less than 3 million people. Everyone knows everyone. If a family is looking for you, they will find you. Second, for blood feuds, the kanun has no geographic limit. A blood feud obligation follows you everywhere in Albania. Moving from Shkodra to Tirana does not cancel the debt. The opposing family will come to find you. Third, for domestic violence, the police failure is nationwide. It is not a problem limited to one city. Grevio found systemic failures across the entire country. Moving to another city means losing your support network, family, friends, community, and still facing the same broken system. Fourth, organized crime networks operate across Albania and beyond. If a criminal group wants to find you in Vlora instead of Tirana, they can. Legal experts have challenged the UK Home Office's position on internal relocation. The Migrant and Refugee Children's Legal Unit argued that the Home Office is wrong to suggest internal relocation is generally viable. Albania is simply too small and the state protection too weak. For the majority of people at risk in Albania, whether from blood feuds, domestic violence, or organized crime, internal relocation is not a safe or viable option. Albania is a European country, an EU candidate, where blood feuds still kill people, where domestic violence is widespread and protection orders are not enforced, where organized crime threatens families and the state cannot protect them. Freedom House rates Albania as partly free, 69 out of 100. Being in Europe does not mean being safe. EU candidate status does not mean the problems are solved. For the people we describe today, return to Albania is dangerous. This was an episode of the Human Rights. Thank you for watching. Subscribe